welcome back to my channel. So this morning I was talking to one of my students and we were looking at nested for loops, and I thought it was a good idea to do a video on it as well. So thanks to my student. Hello. So we are going to look at rows and columns, and I think one of the nicest things to do is to look at the actual numbers here. So we have here one column or one row and then 5 columns. So if I go back to my nested for, then we have our public class. Obviously our class name is always started with a capital letter. That's how it identifies it. We have our public static void main, which is our main thread within Java. And then we have two straightforward for loops, but except one is nested. So the way I look at a for loop, and if you're unsure, please go back and watch one of the videos that I've done on for loops. We have our initialization, we have our loop continuation condition, and then we have our incrementation. So here we have basically the starting point. Where do we start? We start with one row. So int I equals 1. So we're starting with one row. We're going until 2. So we're going to have 2 different rows. Less than or equal to 2. That means it's going to include 2. And we're going to iterate. And we're going to increase by 1. So this should be read as I equals 1. I is less than or equal to 2. So I'm going to continue. And then I is equal to I plus 1. So now I is equal to 2. And then it goes around again. So if we think of it like this, I is initially the first is going to be equal to 1. Yes, true. I is then equal to I plus 1. If you're unsure of incrementations, please go back and watch that video as well. It's really useful. So you can also write it as I equals I plus 1. Or if you wanted to do a different way to do it as well, would be to increment by another number here instead. Now you can write it the long way, so you can say I equals I plus 5, and it will then have 5 rows. So if I go here and press play, it's not going to have 5 rows. It's going to increment by 5. It's always just going to have 0 or 1 and 2, and then whatever amount of columns that we have. So this is the kind of thing with looping is going to be a little bit tricky. So here, if I change this loop continuation to 5 then, and we're going to increment just by 5, so it's going to jump from 1 to 5. Then we have also our 3 stars. So that means we're always just going to have our one row. So here we have this is our row, which is our outer loop, and then this is our column, which is our inner loop, and this is our star that's going to be printed. So if I was to say just I plus plus here, this might be easier to visualize when I print it out. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and there should be 15 because 5 multiplied by 3 is 15, so it's going to have 15. Okay, so here's our outer, so it's 1, and then of course it's true for 5, and so it goes 1, and then yes, 1 is less than or equal to 1 is less than or equal to 5, so it's true, and then it says 1 equals 1, or 1 equals 1 plus 1, so then that I is now going to be 2. The next loop around, it's going to increase more. So here we have 5 rows. The next one is our inner, or this is our column inner loop. So we have J, our classic variable name. You can call these variable names anything you want, but classically programmers always call them I's and J's, and that represents our rows and our columns. So here we have J, J is equal to 1, and then J is less than or equal to 3, J plus plus, and I'm going to have another sys out here. if I just create a new line every time, it will also help. So when I press play, you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then it takes a break, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another line. So with this, then the outer loop is going to represent our row, and the inner loop is going to represent our column. So if we wanted to, for instance, have another condition underneath, so if I is equal to j, then print else, else okay, let's see what it does. So until the condition is met, so this is our first, so our first row is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's our first one. Then our next, so we stay within the inner one until that is satisfied. So if we think about it like this, if we have our row here, like in our numbers or Excel, you can't go to the next row until you have finished column 1, 2, writing or typing 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we do the same with the inner and outer loops. And here, for instance, it will always print star for I equals to j for the first one. So if we were to also do another, so for instance, I'm going to take away the new line here and instead just have a print instead, and you can see a different output. So here we have a different output, but if I also wanted to keep the line, and you can see here the matching bracket, so I'm going to put it here. This is important. So this is our stars across. Let's put this as 0, 1. Okay, so what we're doing here effectively is we're saying, here's our row, go 1 time. Great. Now I have to make 5 different columns. So I have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before I get to the next one. So I want to print out only when these are equal, then I will print out 1. So here we have column 1. So column 1, row 1, yeah, they match. So I'm going to print my star. Otherwise, I'm going to print my 0, or let's say print my 1. Otherwise, I'm going to print my zeros. Okay. The next line then is also our I equals 2 this time, because we've said I equals 1 initially. So the next time around it's going to be 2. Yes, it's lower than 5. So now my 2 plus 1 is 3. So the next time it will be 3. But for the moment it's 2. So I'm now on row 2. Now when I'm in row 2, I want to create 5 columns basically. So I've started with ij is equal to 1. Now this is my next time doing it. So now my j is now equal to 2. 2 satisfies the condition j is less than or equal to 5. And I'm going to increase it by 1 the next time around the loop. But for now, I'm going to say that happens it's post incrementation, so it happens afterwards. So for the moment, this is my second column. So 2, 2, okay? So if I is equal to j, then it will only print it out on the second row and the second column. So here we have second row, second column. So if we go here, second row, second column. Okay. And the same goes then for the rest. So this is going to be 3. It only prints it out when 3 is equal to 3. So it's third row, third column, fourth row, fourth column, fifth row, fifth column, and so on. If I did maybe just 2 rows instead, you might be able to see it as well. So here we have first row is equal to the first column, so I'm going to print out a 1. All the rest don't satisfy that condition because I stay within the inner loop until that's finished. So I always stay within the columns until I've done all of my writing with these across. Then I go to the outer loop and I say, oh, create another row. So here the first one is, this is our row, our outer loop. Now it's going to be 3, if I wanted to go again, then 3 is not less than or equal to 2, so I don't create another row, and I make sure that then everything is satisfied here. So that's kind of the main essence of our nested for. The main thing to remember is our initialization, loop continuation condition, and incrementation. Another way to put that is start, test, end, okay, or continue. So we can also say that I want to have +5, right? So plus equal to 5. That's the equivalent of writing out I is equal to I plus 5. But it's the shortened version, and if you're unsure of that, please go back and watch the video. And we are going to say less than or equal to 5. Look at what happens, because it will just do a simple, straightforward 1 row. And why is that? Because we started with 1. 1 is less than or equal to 5. Great. Now I is now 1. 1 is equal to 1 plus 5. 6 is now not satisfying the condition. It's not satisfying the next condition because it jumped by 5. So if we were to change this to 10, maybe, then we can also change what it shows here, and it will print out the second one. But you can see there's no 1 here. Why is there no 1 here? Because it doesn't satisfy here. It's jumping by 1 only. So when we go through this starts at 1, it finishes at 10, it increments in steps of 5. Okay, so it goes 1, 1 plus 5. If this was to start with 0, then it would land in an even number, but it's not going to end in an even number. The next then is, this is our column, our inner loop. These have to operate first within it. So every column needs to be satisfied first before it can go to the outer loop. That's why it's you're always within here until this is finished. So we're going to do this 5 times for every one of these. So if you think of multiplying whatever's in here with here, then you'll see how many things are going to be produced. So if we're going to say 3 by 3, and we just increment by 1, then it should produce, wait for it, this. So we have 3 rows by 3 columns. When are they equal? So our I is 1, our J is also 1, then they're both equal. Of course, 1 is going to be produced. Then 0, 0. The same with the second one. I is 1, is now 2 the next time. J is also now 2 the next time. Then it's going to produce 1. The next one is I is now 3. J is also 3, then it's going to produce the 1 here. Okay, I hope that was useful, and please subscribe to my channel to keep it alive. I really enjoy doing these videos, so I hope that makes more sense to you now to visualize the rows and columns. It's pretty nice to do nested for loops. Generally speaking, there's a lot of assignments with nested for loops because you have to get the logic with it. So if you want to increment by a higher number, you change this. If you want to do steps, if you want to produce some sort of diamonds usually, or different kind of symbols, then you just change here. You have a print, you do not have a print ln. That's important because we're not printing a new line. We're just printing it straightforward, but we're also going to make a new line here. If I take this away, it's still going to be the same, but we're going to have all of them together. So this is also an important part of the program because we need to have a new line for every row. So we make a new row, we make a new line. We make a new row, we make a new line. And you can follow every part of your for loop by clicking on your open and close brackets. So every row we make a new line. For every row we make 3 columns. For each of those 3 columns they have to produce what's in this if-else statement. So okay, thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel again, and